All right, so I had a chance to go back through the tape and look at it. I thought we did some, excuse me, some good things on really both sides of the ball. I thought defensively we started off very well and had pressure on the quarterback. We held the running back intact, and I thought it was just a good, sound way to start the game. Offensively, we had some opportunities early that we were off just by a tick, but we were able to kind of regather it and put it together. And then I thought the way we finished the game, I thought was strong offensively with just the run game and forcing kind of the will of our guys on them. And I thought that worked out well for us. So much gets lost in the 4-minute, 2-minute situations that you're put in this league with all the parity and how games are won or lost in regards with those couple of situations. And I'm proud of our guys for being able to bear down and take care of business when they need to, and to actually win games, which inevitably ends up being the most important thing. I mean, every week you just see these things happening that where teams lose games that they're favored to win, and that you can't slight that a bit, and the mental preparation that goes into each one of these. My hat goes off to the guys for bearing down on it and staying true to it. And then I thought some of the coaching jobs that have been done have shown up. I mean, Andy Heck, the things that he's done with that offensive line with the different injuries or the opt-outs and those things. So putting together a good solid group, I think needs to be mentioned. With all these young guys that Brett's brought in, tremendous players, but still without an off season, having to get these guys ready to play, my hat goes off to the coaches that are dealing with that, and for the effort that the player and the coaches put in to making sure that we can play at a high level. It's hard to come into a team that's kind of an established team, one coming off a Super Bowl win, all these things. And now you're asked to make a team. In some cases, guys that either weren't drafted very high or weren't drafted at all, and asked to give it their all and not count the numbers in the line and make sure that you just bust your tail and good things will happen. And in some cases that's happened for some of these young guys, and the coaches have kind of been the ones that steering these guys in the right direction and keeping their hopes up. And here we are, we've got a handful of these guys that are playing for us and doing a nice job. Anyways, that's all I've got for you. So I don't have anything on injuries yet, other than what we had before. The guys are just kind of trickling in now. So we'll have more for you a little bit later. Anyways, with that, time's yours.
Let's go first to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Andy, a couple things. Why was Marcus Robinson back for that punt? Would it have something to do with Hardman taking that hit a few plays earlier? And also, did they enforce that? Was the safety the right call there as opposed to a touchback? And Brad, I'll have one other thing real quick.
Yeah, I thought it was. I thought it was the right call. So, and then, yes, he was there because of McCall was kind of regathering it there. So,
okay. All right. And I know you don't know a whole lot about injuries, but just curious, you feel like Edwards-Helaire is a candidate for IR as opposed to keeping him on the roster, or how do you?
Yeah, I haven't even got that far yet. Yeah. He's still going through evaluations right now. So we'll know more here later in the day here. So.
Let's go next to Sam McDowell. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Andy. One of those guys that you're probably talking about with the drafted pretty low, L'Jarius Sneed. I'm wondering if there was a point, whether it was during training camp or whether you were analyzing him at the combine or whatever, where you thought that he could contribute at a position that is often pretty difficult for rookies to contribute in their first year.
Yeah, so both are, yeah, he is one of the ones I was talking about. I mean, both his position coaches, and then Spags and Brett were real high on him. And so we kind of did the waiting game. Brett did what he does. I mean, he's got a real knack for knowing where and when guys are potentially going to be picked. And so we waited a little bit there and it worked out for us. But the guys, everybody saw this talent and the kid and thought that he could work in. Now, what we didn't think was that he'd be playing nickel for us. So that's a tough spot. That's way different than the corner spot. So when he came back of the injury part of it, we moved him back into inside position. And there's a whole lot of learning going on there. And what you're seeing now is him getting the hang of this, and things are picking up again for him. He did a nice job when 21 was out for those couple games there, that he stepped in and did a good job at corner. But again, this whole nickel thing is that's a different animal. So he's in there, and he's just kind of getting the feel. I mean, we're all witnessing it right here in front of us. So, but he did a nice job yesterday.
Let's go next to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Coach, I know there's no update on Clyde, and Bell's coming off a really good game. A week ago, you said you had wished you had him a little bit earlier. If Clyde does need to miss a little bit of time here, do you think there's enough to handle the load, and he's been here long enough to handle what would be a full load along with, I guess, Darren Williams kind of spelling?
Yeah, well, you got a few guys in there. So, I mean, it's I think we're okay at that spot. And Le'Veon, I felt like the last couple of weeks he's well, let me preface it with this. He's very smart. So this has nothing to do with that part. He's really intelligent and he loves playing. So that's the positive part. And that's why he's been able to pick it up so fast. But just where you kind of know your guys, and then the blocking schemes, you got to learn those, and you have to have enough reps on them to get that feel that these guys have. And so that's where I wished I had him just a little bit earlier, but we're good. I mean, he's in a good place. He can see it and feel it now. And so we'll be okay there if Clyde, can't go. And if Clyde can, then we've got, we've still got him in there rotating, and that's been beneficial. So.
Go next to Aaron Ladd. Go ahead, Aaron.
Coach, I know you're not on social media, but the guys have been having a lot of fun changing each other's profile pictures, and I think your quarterback actually got you today. I asked that not to embarrass you, but just to say that camaraderie is important to a football team. What have you seen from the squad this year in a different year, COVID-wise, and then also pressure-wise with being a defending champ?
These guys like each other. I mean, they were around each other so much, but they like each other. And, I told Patrick, thanks for letting me feel young for one more day. I mean, that was great. So I had hair and the whole deal. Actually, veins in the arm. I mean, that's not bad. So I mean, you feel good, and the fact that they feel comfortable doing that, I think, is important. The more you like the people you're around, I think the better the atmosphere, and the more you want to come to work and get yourself better. So I appreciate all that they do.
Let's go next to Herbie Teope. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Coach. Good afternoon.
All right, Herb.
Specific to the offensive line, Mitchell Schwartz, how is he doing in his recovery process? And Brad, I'll have a follow-up.
Yeah, he's actually feeling a little bit better. Not all the way back, but he is feeling a little bit better. And we'll just see. I mean, we'll take it. He's a great communicator, so we know he wants to play, but we just want to make sure, that he's okay, and I kind of leave that up to the docs and Rick on that, and then obviously Mitch. So.
And Coach, taking all that into consideration and understanding that the regular season ends in 2 more weeks, how optimistic are you that he will be available for the postseason?
I don't know that. Herbie, we're just kind of taking it day by day, week by week. And, literally. And so we're just seeing how he does here. Hopefully it calms down by then or whenever, and he can get himself back out there. I mean, that's what we'd like, but we'll see how all that goes.
Let's go next to Sarin Petro. Go ahead, Sarin.
Coach, you're the first team. I thought this was kind of unique. I didn't realize this. You're the first team to win 6 games in a row by 1 score. That's never happened in the NFL, right? Like, I can't figure out what to think of that, right? Like, does that mean that probably it's a sign you're a great team because you didn't get tripped up along the way there? Or is it a sign that, it's you guys just know the winning formula no matter what the day is? What does that stat say to you?
I don't know that. I didn't know that stat either. I'm glad you told me, but I just see so many teams get, and we all see it, right? We all see teams that are supposed to win that don't win, and it happens every week. And it's the competition is so great in this league that if you're off by a hiccup, man, it's a problem. You're gonna lose. And so our guys have battled through that, and that's I'm very proud of that, of the guys for having that mental toughness to do that. Now we're not done, so I'm saying this, but I'm talking up to this point. I appreciate that grit and that mental toughness that they've had to work through this.
We've got time for a couple more guys. We'll go Matt and then Steve. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Coach, you talked a little bit about the offensive line, but I am curious, just kind of what your overall views were after watching the film, and specifically with Wiz stepping in there and Wiley moving out the right tackle, what you thought about those guys.
Yeah, you know what? I thought Matt, I think they did a pretty nice job. For the most part, and I talked to both of them after the game, and I mean, they tell you there are a couple they'd like to have back. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, for asking them to do what they did, and Wiz coming off an injury, so it's really his first time in pads when you think about it. I mean, since game 1 or week 1, and for him to step in and do a respectable job, I thought was good. And then Wiley too. I mean, that's not easy when you're out on that edge. That's a little different deal out there. So, but I thought he handled it well. And, like I said, there are a couple of snaps they'd like that back, but I think overall they did a pretty good job. And when they had to bear down that fourth quarter, they did that. So, worked out okay.
We'll go last to Steve Walls. Go ahead, Steve.
Hey, Andy. Sticking with the offensive line, I'd like to know your thoughts on Eric Fisher. It seems on the TV broadcast there was a little frustration between Patrick and Eric after the sacks, but did you see anything there? And after watching film, what do you think of his performance? Yeah, so,
Fish, he missed a couple practices this week, so he kind of pushed himself through with his back and his hamstring tightened up. I mean, he had these things happening during the game. He doesn't say anything. He just kind of rolls with it. And then after the game, you find this out. So I think those things were affecting him a little bit. He had a good a couple of good pass rushers on him, and they got him a couple times. But and so, Pat's gonna listen. He lets you know. His is encouragement and butt chewing all at one. So. And linemen are used to that. They can take it. They're wearing big boy pants, so they can handle it. And so that's all part of the leadership part of it. And Fish is good about it. He just kept bearing down. He doesn't complain. He just keeps rolling. That's what he does. And so very dependable that way on being there. So.